You open the refrigerator, the meat is still fresh, the milk has not turned sour, the vegetables are still crisp. Everything feels completely normal, until the electricity disappears for 3 days. Then the modern kitchen quickly returns to an ancient rule. Food does not truly belong to you. It belongs to bacteria, yeast, insects, animals, and time. You are simply trying to eat it before they do. So before electricity, artificial ice, and insulated boxes held at 4 degrees Celsius, how did humans keep today's food alive until tomorrow? The answer was not one invention. It was a war fought with 5 weapons: water, heat, smoke, salt, and microorganisms. The first weapon was the removal of water. Fresh meat contains a large amount of moisture. To bacteria, it is a city with unlimited drinking water. But cut that meat into thin strips and place it in sun and moving air, and the city begins to disappear. The meat becomes lighter, harder, more difficult to chew, but it survives longer. The same principle works with fish, fruit, seeds, roots, and herbs. Early humans did not need to understand cells or water activity. They only needed to recognize a pattern. Dry things usually spoil more slowly than wet things. Sun-drying, however, had serious weaknesses. Rain could destroy an entire batch. Flies could arrive before the surface dried. Animals could smell the food from far away. In cold or humid regions, the sun might not be strong enough. So humans moved food closer to fire, not directly into the flames. Above them, smoke does several jobs at once. Gentle heat removes moisture. Smoke makes the food less attractive to many insects. Compounds from burning wood settle on the surface and can slow the growth of microorganisms. And because meat is hanging above the ground, it becomes harder for 4-legged thieves to reach. That is why smoked food has such a distinctive taste. The flavor is the fingerprint of a preservation system, but drying and smoking still depend on weather, fuel, and skill. For a stronger method, people needed a substance that could draw water out of the food itself. Salt. Salt does much more than improve flavor. In high enough concentrations, it makes survival difficult for many microorganisms. Fish can be packed in salt. Meat can be soaked in brine. Vegetables can be pressed beneath salty water. The problem is that salt is not available everywhere. Some communities lived beside the sea. Some had access to salt mines. Others boiled salty water until crystals remained. In many regions, however, salt was valuable enough to be transported over long distances. That changed more than dinner. A substance used to save food helped create trade routes, taxes, political power, and conflict. Whoever controlled salt did not merely control taste, they controlled the ability to store time. The strangest preservation method, however, did not try to kill every microorganism. It recruited the right ones. That method was fermentation. Milk changes when bacteria convert sugar into acid. Grape juice becomes wine when yeast produces alcohol. Fermented grain develops new flavors, textures, and chemical conditions. Vegetables submerged in brine become acidic environments where many spoilage organisms struggle to compete. Ancient people could not see bacteria or yeast. They watched signs. This batch bubbled in the right way. That smell meant it was safe. A different jar made people sick. A small portion from an older batch could help begin a new one. Temperature, container type, moisture, and timing were remembered through practice rather than microbiology books. This was a strange form of domestication. Humans domesticated dogs by living beside wolves. They domesticated plants by saving useful seeds. And on an invisible level, they also domesticated communities of microorganisms by repeatedly creating the conditions those organisms preferred. Cold was useful too, even before refrigerators. Deep caves, underground cellars, shaded clay containers, storage pits lined with grass, packed snow, and later ice houses all relied on the same principle. Lower temperatures slow many biological reactions. Then there were barriers made from honey, oil, and fat. Some foods could be covered or submerged to reduce contact with air. Meat could be slowly cooked in fat and sealed inside a container. Fruit could be concentrated with sugar or honey where those ingredients were available. Dry grain could be stored in sealed jars and protected from moisture, rodents, and insects. No method was perfect. Dried meat could grow mold. Smoked food could still spoil. Salt did not destroy every pathogen. Fermentation done badly could be dangerous. A damp grain store could turn an entire harvest into a disaster. That is why food preservation was never only a technique. It was collective knowledge. Who knew which pieces of meat should be dried? Who could sense rain coming? Who knew which jar was clean? Who recognized a dangerous smell? Who remembered why last year's batch had failed? In a small community, the person who remembered those details might save more lives than the strongest hunter. And once humans could keep food longer, the world changed. People could survive winter, travel farther, carry provisions on boats, support individuals who did not gather food every day, store surplus, build permanent villages, feed armies, trade dried fish for stone, metal, cloth, or information. Civilization did not only require people to produce more food, it required them to stop food from disappearing. A modern refrigerator performs that work using insulation, electricity, refrigerant, and a compressor. It keeps food inside a temperature range that slows invisible enemies. But the central idea is ancient. The refrigerator simply compresses thousands of years of observation into a box with a light inside. So the next time you open the refrigerator, do not see only food. See an ancient battle that has been automated. Your ancestors used sunlight, wind, smoke, salt, underground storage, and microorganisms they could not see. You use an electrical outlet. The objective is exactly the same: to save a piece of today, so tomorrow does not have to begin with hunger.